I had an incredible summer. Some of you who follow me on Facebook and know some of what I did. The highlight was when I went home to Hawaii, where I grew up, and where my parents currently live. Before any of that, my two sisters graduated from college, and so my whole family traveled to California for one graduation, and all the way up to Oregon for the other graduation, and then all the way back to Hawaii so we could sit down for a little while. While I was home, I found myself extremely comforted by the green, lush nature that surrounds every part of life, the familiarity of the roads, the people I haven't seen in a long time. But what I really enjoyed was the water. My parents saved up and finally were able to build a pool in our backyard about a year ago. And it's been one of the most life-giving experiences. I think sometimes we forget what an important part of life water is. Whether it's swimming in a pool, floating in the ocean, drinking a nice cold glass of water, watering plants, filling your pet's water bowl, so on and so forth. All of these things not only give us life, or give life to whatever is receiving the water, but to who is giving the water. Relationships of care are created when we are willing to share something so life-giving. When we look at our scripture from Exodus, we see another water story in which the people of Israel have left Egypt. Although they had water to sustain them, the exchange was their freedom and a place they could only be slaves. In leaving Egypt, the Jewish people had hopes of finding better, life-giving water that will not only help them survive, but also help them flourish in ways that were never possible before. In a way, we all have had to make hard journeys like this. Not all of our journeys have been equivalent to an exodus from Egypt, but we have all had to make transitions. At some point, we all needed to leave what we knew, whether it was a comfortable and loving place that nurtured us, or maybe it was a place that tore us down and we were glad to finally be away from. Whatever the case may be, our leaving these places has created a new journey for us here at Claremont School of Theology. Claremont is in a lot of transition. We're preparing to leave this campus, where we have been over 60 years, to a place that we hope will bring new opportunities and life to our scholarship and relationships. But, as many of us have already experienced, it's hard to be excited when there are so many uncertainties. Or maybe some of us will be graduating before school officially moves and don't have the same concerns. Sometimes, when the stress of all these unknowns and transitions gets to me, I can really relate to the Jewish people walking through the unknown waters. How do I know Oregon will be better for me? Where am I going to live? What will we really be welcomed there? What will happen with my relationships here? Where am I going to live? When the Jewish people were at the peak of their frustrations, they started threatening Moses to do something about it. Now, if I was Moses, I would be in a bit of a panic. And you can bet that I would be praying to God to help me. Even Moses was aware that these people were ready to kill if they didn't get water soon. What shall I do with these people? They're almost ready to stone me. But it was by asking God for help that Moses was able to bring water to the Jewish people. Moses was asking for a relationship with God that would help sustain the Jewish people. Our relationship with God is filled with a lot of mystery. We know God, but how does God act in our lives? I could probably point it out to you when it happens, but then what do I bring to the relationship? How much of what I do influences what happens in my relationship with God or in my life with God? The answer to these questions will likely be different for everyone. But the scripture tells us that we can't always hand God the reins and say, fix this. Particularly when we are likely the ones who created the mess in the first place. When we look at Moses' journey, later we see the Jewish people attacked by Amalek. Moses then sent out some men to fight them, while he and 2 other men, Aaron and Hur, made their way to the top of a hill. There, they found that when Moses raised his arms, they began to win. For some of us, who may be a little superstitious, mainly concerning sporting events, may say that this is a great support tactic. However, there are many other situations in which raising my arms may not be as supportive as I would like to think it is. Imagine I'm walking into a hospital to visit a friend, or I walk in my grandparents' house. Good morning, Papa. How are you today? It may not have the same effect, but it's not really the specific action itself that helped his comrades in battle, but Moses' dedication of his thoughts. In this scripture, we're shown that our connection with God is not only through ourselves, but through each other. Our support and encouragement and belief in each other can create amazing changes in our lives. This realization is particularly important when we're going through trials or transitions or changes. That doesn't mean you should walk around campus with your arms up in supports of Claremont 24/7 until we move to Willamette. But it does mean that what you think and how you show it can have a greater effect than we originally thought. So let us reflect on the transitions we've made in our lives. What really helped us through the uncertainties? Where was God in all of that? How is God with us now? In what ways can we be in relationship with God that will give us life-giving water? And in what ways can we be in relationship with each other so that we can help the water flow between all of us? As we continue to walk with each other, let us do so with the knowledge that God is always with us, ready with a nice, cold glass of water.